Good times.
Maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around. Like, oh no, somebody
Smoke
needs
monster.
the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30-weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
What's up, everybody? We are live. It is episode 76 of the Hardcore Casual Broadcast. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame.
Yo.
And I am Mason of Radio Infinite Radio.
Sorry. Contractually, that's the only word I'm allowed to say. So I've
No,
been
you can say whatever
stifled.
you want. You just need to swoop in there whenever the dead air. You always get me. You always psych me out.
Yeah.
Anyway, now I've gotten sidetracked. Whatever. All right, moving on. Episode 76. We have made it. We are drawing nearer to our 100 episodes, Jay.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, we are. We are now more than 3/4 of the way there. Go team.
The funny thing is, if we were on TV, we could get syndicated after 100 episodes. But
Yes. Yeah. Well, hey, maybe we'll double the amount of money that we're currently making on this show.
Wow, it's really hard to double zero.
Yeah.
I've never seen it successfully done.
I mean, hey, 10 times what we're making right now, and it'll still be
Although-
the same.
Thanks for bringing that up, because after the show, you and I need to have a little discussion, because I thought, or I didn't think of something. Something was brought to my attention where that might be easier for us going forward. So I'll bring that up later.
All right, then. Well,
Yeah.
so it has been a crazy week. So last week, obviously, the big news was GTA. We had the price, the pre-orders. We had stuff locked behind paywalls. We had all kinds of stuff. And you know, like I'd mentioned at the top of last episode, some of the stuff was not very surprising. Like, okay, not what I thought, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then other stuff was really surprising. I was honestly, legitimately very surprised that Rockstar would paywall some of these like shops and things like that. I'm not surprised that there was some stuff that was paywalled, but the fact that it's paywalling shops, like actual locations, that just seems bizarre. And since then, we've just had like a cascading effect in announcements. So I think there's a couple of things that it seems like the dam was just barely holding, and everybody was just waiting for Rockstar to blink and be the thing that set it off. We talked we talked last episode about how now that Rockstar is putting GTA 6 at $80, you know, that's all it's going to be. It's going to be, everybody's going to say their game is $80. Now, we had a discussion about how it's probably not going to be the win that all these other developers think that it is, because in their heads, they see this as, oh, the $80 seal has been broken. But in the eyes of the consumer, they're saying, okay, the $80 seal has been broken, but also that bar has been set. And that bar is being set at GTA 6. So for those developers, if they don't rise to the level of a GTA 6, I don't think that they are going to get the warm embrace of the buyer that they suspect that they are.
Okay, I'm gonna say a few things, and one of them is gonna be drastically controversial, but I seriously doubt that I'm the only person in the world that is thinking this. First off, I love Grand Theft Auto. When I first got out of the military, Grand Theft Auto 3 came out right when I started my first civilian job. And I picked it up at midnight one night and came home and played it till probably, because I didn't get off till almost midnight. And I played it till about 4 a.m. And, you know, I don't know how much of GTA 3 you remember, but you remember you started off on that first little spot, and there was 3 little sections, but they were all locked off. And I remember trying everything, trying to get over there without having to unlock the story part. And then you had that stupid airplane that wouldn't fly because nobody wanted to let planes fly because of 9/11. But I loved that game. And then I absolutely adored Vice City, mainly because the soundtrack was fantastic. And I loved Miami Vice when I was younger.
And Scarface was great. And there was a not so subtle Scarface influence on Vice City as well.
Oh, I mean, the mansion was identical, but yeah. I did not like San Andreas, and I know so many people love San Andreas. And then, of course, I love 4 because I love the New York City, and I think it's an awesome setting for a GTA game. It just fits. And I liked 5. So when I say this, please understand the gravity of my situation, of what I'm saying. I want 6 to be successful, but there is part of me in the back corner of my mind, just to teach the gaming market a lesson, that also wouldn't bother me if it freaking tanked and that it was just not good right out of the gate. And there's going to be people out there that hate me saying it, knowing that in the corner of their mind, they're thinking the exact same fucking thing, that they just want to see it tank. Because here's a situation too. And you brought up the most excellent point. These developers aren't thinking about the consumer, or maybe they are, but they got to, the consumers can come back with, okay, thanks for adding an extra $10 or $15 to the price of your game. But they also just added $400 to the price of the console, and not for nothing. But how many people on a standard PS5 with no SSD upgrade also have to purchase an SSD before this game comes out?
Yeah. I mean there's going to be a lot of, which is now going to be more expensive than ever, as we talked about as well. Like, even if you got just a 2 terabyte, I mean, that's going to be what, $400 or $500 right now?
Yeah. I got a guy at work taking out a loan to get an SSD so that he can get GTA when it comes out.
Legitimately?
Wow.
Not financial advice, everybody. This is not wise financial planning.
No, it's not. But that's my point, is that these types of games no longer suit the middle class, which is the bread and butter of your economy.
Yeah.
And dude, it is a truly sad, that technically has nothing to do with gaming. It is a truly sad state of affairs we live in. I mean, cost of living is up across the board. And I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here, but shit rolls downhill. It always has. And so, you got hardware that's through the roof. Can't afford it. It's the first hardware cycle we've ever seen where a console is more expensive at the end of its life cycle than it was at the beginning,
and not by a small amount.
Not by a small, almost double.
Yeah.
And and then you also want to raise the software. If ever there was a time to take a market stand and go, we're going to lower the price of software to combat these hardware, this would be it. Of course, it's like Gordon Gekko said in Wall Street, man, for all intents and purposes, greed is good.
Well, so it's one of these things where, which we have another point to get to whenever it comes to GTA trend setting on some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. But to tackle this thing about the price, one of the things that we would always hear is, man, it's expensive to develop games, which none of us were ever under any impression to the contrary, right? We
Correct.
all know that making games is expensive. Making movies is expensive. That's why whenever you're working with like an unknown quantity, whenever you have a movie that you're not really sure how it's going to perform, you make it for less money. Like Obsession. Like, they made that movie for $750,000 because they didn't know how it was going to do.
Which is a drop in a bucket compared to modern day movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's the salary of someone behind the scenes on these movies.
Well,
on
I always
some of
think
these
back
major
to
movies.
Episode 4. I always think back to, well, I just called it Star Wars back then, but George Lucas got a $1 million budget for Star Wars in 1977, and that was 1977. And you're saying this guy made a $750,000 movie in 2026. Now, granted, it's not a sprawling space epic, but still,
But it doesn't look like $750,000. It looks very well done.
Yeah. So anyway,
And to that same effect, though, if you have a game, so if you have a GTA 6,
yeah,
you know what? Pour money into that thing because you know you're going to get it back. There's no way it's
yeah,
not going to get its
they already
investment back.
have.
Yeah, already have it. It's not even released yet.
Yeah.
They haven't even released so much as a playable demo, and they have already made profit on their game.
Yeah. What was their total cost of development?
It's not been confirmed yet, but there are rumors that have it between $500 million and $1 billion. Some people
Okay,
say
well,
it
they
could be
made
the first
$3 billion.
billion-dollar video game.
They made $3 billion in 24 hours.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't matter. You know, whenever you talk movies, you always have like the movie math where it's like, okay, yeah, well, they made it for this, but then
yeah,
you take half that budget. So let's say you make a movie for $50 million. Well, then one of the
Yeah.
rules of thumb is you're going to spend another 25 million in marketing. So really your budget's like 75 million. And then whenever it goes to the theaters take a large percentage of the ticket sales, and you know everything just gets pieced out, right? And so it takes a lot more to make that money. It doesn't matter how many ways you have to slice this pie, they made their money back already. And they're just going to be doing from here on out, it's just greens, just all green numbers everywhere it's going to be. And whenever they release the multiplayer aspect, it's just going to be, I mean, they're going to need a bigger bank to hold all the fake, you know, the digital currency that they're going to be raking in. But
let me ask you a question. Do you think they're going to release the shark cards before the online client? Allow
release
people
the
to go
shark
ahead
cards
and
before what?
before the online client. Allow
No,
people to purchase
no.
shark
I think
cards
they'll.
prior
I think
to
they'll release. I think they'll release in tandem with it.
Okay.
I would, man, if they did release like a shark card that you could use in the single player game, that would suck. I would hate that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the case.
Well, then there was the whole, I don't know if you remember this, about the license plates. And I ended up telling some guys at work, and they're like, oh my God, now instead of just going to the pay and spray, you have to get clean license plates. And I'm like, so you're telling me there's not somebody in that corporate boardroom going, oh shit, we could charge for 50 packs of clean license plates.
I think that might be a bridge too far for them right now.
We'll
but,
see.
But the point I was getting at though with the cost of game development is that we aren't demanding these investments, right? So we had, whenever there was the rumors that, and everybody was asking the questions of, you know, is Borderlands 4 gonna be $80? Is that gonna be the one that breaks it? And Randy, again, Randy, we love you, but one of his things back, which, you know, one thing they said was true, is that he doesn't set the price. You know, that's the overlords, right? That's the owners. But he was like, yeah, but you know, we upped our investment, we hired this many more people, we did this and this. And it's like nobody asked for that. You know, we just want the feeling back. We want the feeling of Borderlands 2. So it's like, yeah, there's all these investments, but we're not asking for those investments. So anyway, whenever we talk about this thing, I just don't think that it's necessary to raise the price on games. And I know there's a lot of people that will say, well, back in the time of the Sega Genesis or the SNES or all these things, like, you know, some games were $100 and this and that. And, you know, it's true, but things have standardized and things are pretty uniform across the industry.
Right.
And I just don't think that it was a necessary move. But the other thing that we saw that was, so there was some, like I said, not surprising, very surprising, and then there was baffling. And this is the thing that baffled me. And that was that there will be technically no physical edition of the game. They will send cases, normal looking cases, out to brick and mortar stores and sell them on Amazon and whatever, but they're empty. They just have codes in them. So they're spending all of this money to ship and freighter these things out, but they are empty. There's no reason for it. And I thought that was bizarre, and we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But now we have Sony coming out and saying, like, hey, as of 2028, we're not making any more discs. So looks like GTA is now, so they broke the $80 seal, and now they are leading the charge in the death of physical media.
Well, and here's the thing, and maybe this is just over time, like as far as my perspective goes. I love, and I get the argument about ownership that you don't actually own anything, but I also love the convenience of digital. There was nothing worse than having to get up, pop a disc out, pop another disc in, or if you had a multi-disc game, God forbid. And
Yeah.
some of them were so awkward that you'd have to pop the disc out, pop another disc in just to load apart, and then redo the switch again and put the first one back in. And I mean, it was annoying, dude. And then you had scratched discs, and you have kids that scratch discs, and
Oh yeah.
you got people that
Or just
don't know how
hard
to
drives that
store-
failed.
hard drives that failed, right? So I love digital edition. Now, what does this take away from us? And this is part of my background that you so eloquently pointed out earlier. And when I talk about the 10 Commandments, and this is just what people have come to expect as the law. I want my collector's edition with my book and my, this and that, and my statue, and I want to have that, or I want I like how it looks on my shelf, and I'm not judging or begrudging anybody that enjoys those things. So for them, I'm sorry, and I hate that I really do. I do hate that for you. But we've just reached an age, and it's going to get worse and worse, where it's just going pure digital, dude. It's
Yeah.
part of the reason movie stores don't exist anymore. It's part. I mean, this is, GameStop's going to be the 2026 version of Blockbuster.
Well, I mean, they're currently trying to buy eBay.
By eBay with no money to buy eBay,
Which is
by the way,
insane,
but-
because they are trying
Yeah.
to buy a company that's bigger than they are.
Yeah. So this is like, okay, but it's just where we're going. It's the way the world is now. And I mean, I do love it that all these other companies are jumping on the bandwagon and making fun of Sony for taking this stance, but Microsoft's going to take the same stance.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's
Uh,
already rumors that Project Helix is not going to have a disk
Yeah.
drive, which I mean, we already saw that with the PlayStation 5. They had the Slim without a disk drive, and they had disk drive, or it had editions that included the disk drive.
And I think Nintendo will follow suit as well. It'll take them longer because it always
and we had
takes
the
Nintendo
Xbox
longer.
Series S that didn't have a disk drive, right? That
Yeah.
and so they were already teasing this out, where they're like, let's just see how this works. And of course their solution there was like, well, you can buy it separately. You can buy it, and then if you decide you want it, you can buy it separately. For the PlayStation, you can buy it separately and just put it right on there, get another case. And
Yeah.
for the Xbox, you could just like boom, plug it in with the USB-C, and hey, all good, everything's fine. But it was clearly teasing the appetite for a no physical media. And here's the thing. I'm a bit of a hypocrite on this, because like you, I prefer digital because it's just easier. It's just far more convenient. I just prefer it. It's quick, it's easy, you don't have to worry about it. Wham bam, you're done. But one thing that always did comfort me a bit, I guess, was that hey, if I bought a game digitally, even if something crazy happened, physical versions of that game do still exist. Before the show, earlier today, we
Yeah.
had talked about some games that had been delisted, where you just can't get them digitally anymore. And it's just because of licensing bullshit, between, when we had the license and this and that, they don't have the license anymore, so they can't sell the game,
Right.
which, one, I think is ridiculous. I think you shouldn't be able to produce a game under that license once you're outside. But if it's a game that you already produced, it shouldn't be pulled off the market. That's insane. But like the best Transformer games that ever existed was the War for Cybertron and the Fall of Cybertron. Best
Great
Transformers
games.
games ever. And even if you weren't
Bar
a fan
none.
of Transformers, they were
Right.
incredible
Bar
games.
none. Still
Yeah.
good games.
And you can only find them now. You can only find them digitally. Sorry, you can only find them physically. And if you can find them physically, they are expensive because
They're not
they
cheap.
are well loved. So it was always kind of like a break glass in case of emergency. Yeah, I
Yeah.
bought the digital editions, but if it all went to shit, rest assured there's some physical editions that still exist. Now, last week after the show, I don't remember if it was that night or the next day, I did see that someone had communicated with Rockstar support, and Rockstar support had said that there would be physical editions, actual physical discs that would go out later, or at least that was the impression that they gave in their response to this person's inquiry. Whether or not that actually ends up happening, I don't know, because there was also supposed to be single player DLC expansions to GTA 5 as well. And once they saw that, hey, everybody's spending plenty of money on GTA Online, let's just scrap that whole single player DLC thing. So they could do the
Bro,
same thing here where they're like,
that was a
hey,
smart move.
yeah, true. But this is the same thing where even if they think that they're going to do it right now, they could say it's selling just fine anyway. Like, what does it matter? There's no point. Let's not
Yeah.
even worry about printing it. So I don't know. And now that Sony's taking that out, yeah, like you said, it's just going to be a cascading effect here. And then what does that mean as we go into this sort of interesting future that we have in front of us, where the memory and storage, what used to be one of the cheaper components of a machine, is now the most expensive part of the machine that's driving these costs up. And maybe we're not going to have discs and all this stuff. Well, what does that mean for the relationship with the brick and mortar stores that sell the consoles? We had already seen stuff like this where whenever Xbox was going to make this thing where they're, and even PlayStation, where they were going to send this thing out where they were going to have consoles without disk drives, some brick and mortar stores refused to stock them. They said, we're not going to sell them because that's all we can sell. If we sell one of these, nobody's going to be buying physical games from us. So why would we sell your product just to make money for you if this is the only purchase that we're ever going to get from the customer? So what does that mean for the relationships that they have with Target, Walmart, Amazon, all these other storefronts? Or like you'd mentioned on our conversation earlier, like Game Exchange or even GameStop. Like, you just like, what does that do for our future in gaming? And is it good or bad? Whatever it is that happens as a result, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, the thing is, Walmart and Target and Amazon and GameStop and not so much Game Exchange because they're not really an online retailer per se, but they're going to be holding on for dear life. I'm sure we'll see some type of strategy where they're also selling the games as the digital code. Like, you'll buy it, you put it in your cart, you check out, they'll email you your code,
which you can do on Amazon right now.
Yeah. So but the thing is, and for console that works, but on PC, people will just go to Steam because they do the same thing. They'll just go through the Steam app, or they'll go through Microsoft Game Store or Epic or GOG or whatever they want to go to. Even though Epic might be going away, their game launcher is just, shit. So it'll probably go away. But and now all the developers have their own apps. EA, all the big ones, Ubisoft, you can just order your game digitally through Ubisoft's app.
Well, I don't want that to be the case, man. I don't want to have it be
it will be for PC.
Where it's like, it'll be like streaming, where it's like, okay, well, whenever everybody hated cable and then Netflix happened, and it's like, oh, great, screw that, I'll just get Netflix. And then Netflix would have all these shows from all these, it'd have shows from CBS and NBC and this and that. You have all these things because they had partnerships with all these companies. And then one by one, all those companies ended those agreements and they spun off into their own things. And so now cable, which everybody hated because it was so expensive, now to get even just what you want to see,
you're paying what you paid for cable.
Yeah, or more, it's crazy. So, if that happens, for gaming, that's not good. Where you gotta, it was already a nightmare. I know I'd always hear people complaining before Steam had really locked in its monopoly on this whole thing. whenever
Yeah.
people would everything, all the launchers were so all over the place, and everybody was like frustrated because oh wait, I got to close this one and open this launcher to get this thing. And if it goes right back to that, man, what a pain that would be.
The funny thing is that just makes me laugh, and this is history repeating history that's repeating history, is like 2000, 2001, everybody was crazy about BitTorrent pirating, man. TV shows, movies, games even. And then streaming services hit, and people are like, "Hey, man, I got a torrent for Lord of the Rings 2 Towers. Do you want?" No, dude, it's on Netflix. I don't need it. I got it on Netflix. And that died off. And now that shit has come back with a fierceness, with people
That's a good
using
point.
independent Plex servers and a lot of different things that people have found out ways to circumvent the system. And now we're right back to where we were in 2000.
That's a good point. It's the iTunes effect. Like whenever Napster was a thing, the thing that killed Napster wasn't all the legislation and all the lawsuits and all that stuff. The thing that killed Napster was iTunes. Like
iTunes.
it was convenience. iTunes, like, okay, wait, I could just the same song, I could just download it here in like 20 seconds for 99 cents instead of like, setting this up, firing this up, connecting to some thing here and and then selecting which one. Where's just but it's convenience. People would
but then what killed
pay the
iTunes?
99 cents for the convenience instead of circumventing all this stuff and doing all the legwork for free. And like you said, that we're heading right back there because all the paying for convenience is now nickel and diming us.
Yeah. And so iTunes killed Napster, and then streaming music killed iTunes in so many ways. So you had Amazon.
Nobody talks
Prime,
about iTunes anymore. It's Apple Music,
no.
which is a Spotify ripoff.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say. I think Spotify led that charge, but
absolutely did.
You got Apple Music, and I miss not being able to buy, or at least I can't find it anywhere and I use Amazon and Spotify. You used to be able to download album wraps and get a whole album because maybe you wanted the whole album, and it's very difficult now. You got to piece that shit together to try to get it, and then again, now you're talking about storage space, and that's a whole nother bag of cats. We alluded to it talking about the SSD earlier, but storage space is starting to become an absolute and it's console people don't really think about it as much. They will now. GTA is going to make people so storage forward that it's going to be ridiculous. You're going to have people out there that don't get an upgrade for
God forbid you play Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto.
They're fucked if they do that. And here's the thing. If you're on a standard PS5 with no SSD upgrade, which more people are than aren't, and you delete everything, or you think you've deleted everything, you're like, I'm going to delete every game. You're going to have to delete every game to play GTA 6 off that hard drive. You're going to have to. And then, I don't a lot of people's media galleries are full, and they won't think about deleting all that. And then they'll go to download the game, and it'll be like, you don't have enough storage space. And you're like, And then it's either taking out a loan to get an SSD or, hey, Mom, Dad, thanks for the game, but I also need this SSD. Well, how much is it, honey? Well,
it's about 10 of these games.
I need at least 1 terabyte. Well, how much is 1 terabyte? Well, it used to be really cheap, and now it's $169 for an off-brand one, which I'm okay with. And Mom and Dad's like, it's $169, Bubba. And I just bought you $100 game that you shouldn't be playing anyway because you're, a kid. But so now you're out at the very least almost $300 to play this game. And woe betide the individual who's already their parent, they never bought the PS5 yet. And now the parents got to buy the PS5 or the college kid or whoever, the PS5, an extra SSD, and the game. Jesus, dude.
Yeah,
that's $1,000 almost, right? Am I wrong?
It's more than that because of the console being so much more expensive now. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. So we're seeing some unsettling things start to happen. And like I said, I feel
like we're arguing about the wrong things. People talking about I don't get access to customize my car. Brother, you got to get to where you have a car. You got to get to where you're in the game.
Well, and this also brings up another thing. Speaking of PlayStation, we have Sony, who it was just announced that they are going to be deleting or removing a lot of things that people paid for when it comes to movies and things like that. Previous
Yeah.
media things that they just aren't supporting anymore. And that's one thing. When we talk about buying digitally or whatever, and again, call me a hypocrite because I buy digital too because it's convenient. But we have like a false sense of security because
Yeah.
it's Netflix or it's this or it's that. It's Microsoft, it's Sony. So they're too big to fail. So that it's going to
Yeah.
be there. But the company doesn't have to fail in order for you to lose that purchase. They just have to lose interest. Sony had a storefront where you could buy movies because Xbox did that. Xbox had a storefront that you could go and you could buy movies. So Sony did that too. And nobody cared. Nobody used the machines for that. Nobody used their consoles for that. But a few people did. But Sony lost interest. It's not worth it to have those servers spun up. So they're just
Yeah.
closing them down. And so the thing that people bought and paid money for, like you said, you've mentioned it many times, they don't own it. They own a license to access it. And
Correct.
that access can be removed. And that's just the way it is. And that's the predicament that we're all in now. If discs just go away, if more players fall out like after Sony does, which I suspect they will, there's going to be a point where once it's gone, it's gone. We won't have a physical way to bring it back. I mean, I'm sure people
Yeah.
will, have pirated copies and things like that, but as far as like easy to obtain, it'll be gone.
And we're by no means the only podcast with guys that are working regular jobs as well as doing this. But you watch some of the what I call the big boys on their podcasts that are come from these parent affiliations and companies, and you hear them, and in the back of their mind they're like, man, this is fucking terrible, man. But they've got to toe the company line. That's where it benefits, I think, people to watch shows with people like us that have worked every day or that have kids and that, that go through the struggles that people aren't thinking about there. Because I still think most people are just in that, I just got to make sure that I have it by November 18th. That's a 19th. That is a very small step in this process. That is a very small step in this process. And and just like anything, I mean, any gaming coming up that you're interested in, folks, storage, I'm telling you, is going to be absolutely paramount. And I would, you got to put the cart before the horse, man. You got to get the cart ready.
I mean, that's the wild thing, and with this where we have oh gosh, I looked it up earlier today, and I don't remember what it was, but it was a shoe company. There's a shoe company that
Allbirds.
Allbirds, thank you. Yes, Allbirds. A shoe company is a minimalist shoe company that we're like, we'll do a slight pivot. We're gonna do a slight pivot, and we're gonna, instead of making shoes, we're going all in on AI, and we're doing AI services. It's like,
That's a slight pivot.
it's like, what is happening? What is happening? And let's be real. This is a bubble that's going to burst.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to say AI is going away. Obviously, AI is here to stay, but it's going to be like anything else. And there's going to be, 1, 2, maybe 3 big players in it. So all these other little AI companies that are spun off, those are all going to get gobbled up one by one, integrated into the Borg. And everybody is either trying to be one of those players or they want to get gobbled up and they want to get bought out. And so the storage wars of the late 20s that you are referring to, it's going to be raging for a while. It's going to be raging for a while.
I mean, I'm looking to the right now at my RGB RAM in my PC, and I'm like, dude, I could buy a used car with the RAM in my PC right now.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
before,
you're looking at you have a used Honda Civic pulsing in that tower right now.
And the funny thing is, when I bought it, I couldn't have bought an alternator for that amount. I literally paid almost nothing. It's insane, dude. I just can't even. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. Part of me wants to be like, man, if I had the capital, I'd start a company just called Human Prices. And I don't know where I would buy the chips from or get them made, but just start putting shit out at regular prices. Of course, then you probably end up finding yourself in court for antitrust and monopoly violations,
Something.
for lowballing everybody. But there's a big argument out there. There's a conspiracy thing going around in the news that, and I'm not going to bust anybody out on this. And this is not in gaming news. This is in just world news and financial news. That they're hiding behind the AI thing. That it's not actually AI. That they're just greedy bastards trying to get rich. That it's only partially to do, and that the AI thing has leveled off now, where people have the tech to make the AI, and they're not real. So I don't know what to believe anymore. It's really hard to figure out what to even believe. And here's the thing: would it matter? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, would it matter if it was an AI driven thing that's making the prices go through the roof, or if it was just companies being greedy? I would expect either one. So, what difference does it make?
Yeah, it's a weird. It's just a weird scenario.
We live in a
man.
world. Yeah.
It's like one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like for years and years, computers and technology consistently got, the more it was used, the more it was produced, the more ubiquitous it became. It would, like the prices got low. Like everything, every technology, early adopters pay a high fee, and then costs go down, production gets more
Yeah.
streamlined. All of these things happen. It lowers the cost, makes everything more available, more affordable, and everybody's happy. And that's just how it works. Is the early adopters, and then by the it trickles down. And now we're having this thing where computers, things that everybody's using, whether it's a phone, work,
Right.
entertainment, your vehicle, whatever, we all it runs all of our lives, the access to technology. And now it's all going up, and our income is not.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Stagnant incomes have been stagnant for over a decade now. So it's not helping to the contribution. It was funny today. I was listening to I threw it on all 90s on Amazon Prime Music when I went out to pick my son up, and the
That's my
song
favorite.
well, it's the best decade music, but
Yes, it is.
but the song "Ordinary World" by Duran Duran came on, and I just started laughing my ass off. When you get a chance, go back and listen. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to live there, bro. When's that shit gonna happen? But it feels like 15 years ago we did live in that world, right? And we still bitched about everything, gas prices, bread price, whatever. But we are getting, I'm not kidding, we are getting bought out of existence, bro.
I remember whenever this was years and years ago now.
Yeah.
But I remember whenever it was many years ago, and we're talking like 12, maybe more years ago, probably more.
Yeah.
That it came the yearly enrollment in insurance for our company, and they had to change providers, whatever. And we looked at this coverage, and the coverage was $100. Like the premiums that I would have to pay was either $100 a paycheck, which was every 2 weeks, or $100 a month. And that was a significant increase from where it was the previous year.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is insane. How can I would do horrible things to have access to insurance for $100 every 2 weeks or every month.
Yeah.
Horrible things, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a business that gets rich because they're counting on you not to file claims. And they're almost all based out of Delaware, which is like the insurance capital of the world. But anyway,
we have had a far-reaching discussion on all this.
And folks, I'm sorry, shit got real in here tonight. We went right off, but this just goes to show you that anything that is a passion to you, gaming, TV, books, movies, music, whatever your scrapbook, I don't give a shit, is being affected by everything around it right now. This is one of those few times in the world where almost every single vein or stream of anything is connected to itself, and it's insane, and it's not great. It's not great, but
Well, so and we already talked about obviously what GTA is doing and how that could influence
Yeah.
the gaming space. We talked about Sony and some of their bad calls. Well, I guess we might as well go ahead and use that to lean into Xbox and some of their bad calls.
damn
So
it.
I still every time it happens, every single time. And if you look back at the videos that we've put together, at the episodes that we've recorded, we're always very skeptical of Xbox. And then a couple of times they've done something and we've been like, oh, good Xbox. That's very
Yeah.
clever, very smart. I like what you're doing there. Immediately, every time we are it's they spit in our faces. Like it's like why did we believe that this was a good thing? The most recent situation was the first big sort of games show that they
Yeah.
did after Asha Sharma took over. We had all kinds of announcements, great looking games. We had announcements for decreases in the price of Game Pass and all these other things. It was great. And we were like, good job, Xbox. And while we were on the air, stuff happened. So while we were on the air praising Xbox and all of this stuff was going down, by the time we got off the air and I opened my phone, the first thing I saw was Xbox doing bullshit. And it's just it never stops. So here we go with Xbox. We've talked about the games studios that they're looking to shut down. Arcane Leon, which is making the Blade game. There was a small bit of hope that had come out because Todd Howard had been asked about how that was going. He said, "Hey, it's going well. They're doing good job. It's good work. It's coming along well. Blah blah blah." But no, they're still very much on the chopping block. As is Arcane Studios as a whole.
Yeah.
Is the rumor that that Arcane Studios period could be on like for sale, and excuse me, and we've got compulsion games and all these other things that the rumor is that there will be more information come Monday about some of the final decisions on some of these, but there's also supposedly negotiations ongoing to look into sales of at least 3 or 4 of the studios, and those conversations could go on for months. So we're honestly not going to know.
One good news story that apparently this company is safe, and it's good to hear it. But Outer Worlds developer and Fallout New Vegas developer Obsidian apparently is going to be safe from this round of cuts, which that's good news, dude.
It is good news, but I would, if I worked for Obsidian, I would not breathe a sigh of relief because,
Yeah,
I mean, Xbox, they've shown that like this is borrowed time. I don't understand their strategy. It's been reported that they spent about $400 million making Gears 4, and or no, sorry, not Gears 4, sorry, E-Day,
E-Day.
Gears of War E-Day. And I mean, that's an absurd amount of money. I'm a Gears of War fan, and it looks great, but are you going to make it back? It's an exclusive. It's an exclusive. Supposedly they're not putting it on PlayStation. So
yeah,
I don't see how you could make $400 million back on an Xbox game.
Well, I mean, I feel like if any one of them could do it, it's probably this new Gears. You scared me when you said 400 million on Gears 4 because that game was a shit box for sure.
Yes.
I mean, I was completely just deflated when I played Gears 4. I was like, what is this? This is not Gears of War. I mean, Gears Tactics was a better Gears game than Gears of War 4 or 5. But I feel like they possibly could. I mean, I feel like the people that are hardcore Xbox homers, they're obviously going to come out in full force for Gears E Day. I don't see a
But I don't
problem
know
with
if the
that.
install base is even that big anymore. Like even if you got the hardcore of the hardcores,
Well, that would be good numbers to see what their install base is like. I
yeah,
mean, we won't get to see that probably, but plus you're going to get PC people, so it'll be available on Steam and Game Pass.
well, the thing that
Game Pass
really
though doesn't count as sales.
yeah, and the thing that really blows my mind is again, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in some of these boardroom meetings that they have.
Yeah,
Whenever it comes to, like, what are you thinking? So they have the show, their little games show, and then we get the announcement of, hey, we're lowering the cost of Game Pass, this and that, and blah blah blah, the whole restructuring, and blah blah blah. Okay, great, looking great, good job. Well, then so you lower the cost of Game Pass, hooray Xbox, but then you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, and we're just gonna like cut 4, 5, 6, maybe more studios that are in the Xbox games lineup. So, okay, well, we're just going to drastically reduce the value of Game Pass. And now they actually they've been sending out emails to people reminding them that when the next Call of Duty releases, it will not be a day and date release for the lower tiers of the Xbox Game Pass. So it's like they lower it, but then they're like, also, we're removing all these studios. Also, don't forget, you're going to have to buy this game if you want to play it because it won't be released day one. I mean, they are just the masters of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, and I mean, I was happy that Game Pass went down, and I don't play Call of Duty, but that's millions and millions of people do. So it sucks for them on that. But I mean, I'll play E-Day when it comes out, but I'm going to play it on Game Pass, so they're not getting any extra money from me.
I mean, I think
So you
think
might be
people,
right, man. It might be a tough beat.
I just don't see how they can. I don't see how it makes $400 million, dude. I just don't see how you turn, especially, and let's say by some miracle, you spent $400 million on Gears of War E-Day and it does turn a profit. Even if a meager one, even if it was a big
Yeah.
one, let's say it turns $100 million profit. I can't fathom that being the case, but let's say it does. Let's say that they are $100 million in the green on Gears of
Yeah.
War E-Day. That does nothing for the bleeding across all the other veins
No,
in Xbox. Okay, great. You made your money back there. It does not make up for all the money you lost on all the other decisions.
not to mention it's a long way to February when Fable comes out, right? So
Yeah.
that's a long time, and I think you're crossing fiscal years at that point too, so it wouldn't even count one on the other. But
I think the end of March is the end of the fiscal year, isn't it?
for them, it may be. There's like two different mostly accepted fiscal years. One's October and the other one's March. But yeah, I think it might cross over. So it's hard to tell. But I mean, nothing's going to matter anyway. This whole thing is going to be driven by GTA 6 this year anyway. What the market does for games.
It's crazy. I know we keep bringing this up, but it's
Yeah.
so wild that a single game, granted, it's a huge game, but that a single game can have this kind of impact on the market. I mean, this is a game that is influencing the decisions of the companies that build the consoles that play this game. Like, that it's that big of a deal that instead of being lorded and at the behest of the makers of these consoles that it needs to have its player base, the makers of the consoles are instead beholden to them. And the fact that one game wields that level of influence is wild to me.
It's also shocking how many. Of course, it's not shocking because of GTA 6. It would be. How many games are coming out in July and September? I mean, September is absolutely cram-packed with releases. And then
And then
you know,
February of next year.
and then February. So they're literally bowing down from November 19th to February.
They're just
on
like, yep,
to,
we're good. We don't
we're
want
gonna
it. We
give
don't want
you
the smoke.
we're gonna give you guys 3 months to get burned out on GTA, and then by that time, yeah, it's probably gonna be your hardcores that's all they play. Trying to hit the top of those leaderboards and have the most money and own
And then
all
in
the
April they drop
businesses
GTA Online.
yeah. So anyway, it is ridiculous market that we live in on so many levels right now. There's just so much extraneous shit going. It used to be a game was announced, we saw it at E3. It released on during the holidays. It either did well or it didn't, and that was it. That was the end of it. Now it's games coming out. All the other games are trying to avoid it like the plague. I've got to buy a bunch of extra shit in order to be able to play it. Insane.
Steam machines being sold without a controller. Yeah.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. But yeah, it's we're living in the end times, as Charlton Heston would say in the Ten Commandments.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of corporate bullshit, let's talk Crafton, Unknown Worlds,
talking Crafton,
and Subnautica 2. So the quick TLDR for those of you that may not have been following this, the Unknown Worlds, the makers of the wildly popular runaway hit Subnautica, were working on Subnautica 2. While they were in the process of development, they were courted by Crafton, which is one of these kind of like 10-cent conglomerate kind of companies where they have tons of money and they have their fingers in all sorts of pies, and they wanted to invest in Unknown Worlds. They wanted to buy Unknown Worlds. Part of that investment and part of to keep on the creative team, the founders and the creative leaders within Unknown Worlds, because obviously that's where a lot of the value of Unknown Worlds is the brain trust of the people that are there, especially those at the top. So part of the way that they kept them on was, hey, if you stay on and you finish Subnautica 2 for us, and then you hit these launch windows and these sales requirements, we will bonus you. And I think there's like maybe 5 people that this was split across. I mean, it was a very small number. $250 million in bonuses alone. And obviously, like I would be if I was offered that deal, they couldn't sign those papers quick enough, which they did. They did sign those papers, and then Crafton immediately got cold feet. They wanted to know how to get out of this deal. They didn't want to have to pay $250 million.
Didn't they use AI to try to figure out how to get out of it?
The CEO of Crafton did, in fact, try to use AI, and AI even told him. AI even told him, "This is a bad idea. Do not do this." Like AI was like, "Nah, bro." Like
hands down, that is the best part of this whole story.
Well,
but go ahead.
And it's the age-old tale though of asking someone for advice, but only listening if they tell you what you want to hear. So he's like, "Hey, here's the situation. Can I just fire these guys and not have to pay $250 million?" AI was like, "Absolutely not." ChatGPT was like, "You cannot do that. That will not fly." And he was like, "You know what? I'm going to do it anyway."
Reminds me of Star-Lord in Infinity War when Iron Man came up with his plan. He's like, "Look, I like your plan. It's good, except that it sucks. So what we're going to do is my plan."
So he fires him anyway, after being told by legal counsel, ChatGPT, pretty much anybody that he asked that this is a bad idea, dude. He does it anyway, fires them, and wouldn't you know it, people that are fired so that you don't have to pay them $250 million that they were well on track to earn, they didn't take it so easily. They didn't take it lying down.
No shit.
They took Crafton to court in a crazy chain of events in court. Not only did they lose numerous battles in court, they had to hire all of these people back. All of these people had complete autonomy. So like the CEO, Ted Gill, that got hired back as CEO had to be reinstated. He had autonomy. Krafton had no say in the operations of Unknown Worlds. They couldn't enter the building. They couldn't interact with it. They were out. They owned it, but they could have no participation. And then they also, this whole thing where they fired these people so that they couldn't make their deadlines, those deadlines got extended by over a year to allow these people to meet the deadlines and get that $250 million bonus. That $250 million bonus was now decided on. They have met all of their objectives, and the court has said you owe them $250 million. So that's being split, like I said, 5 ways or something like that, something crazy. And it was just announced a day or two ago that Ted Gill will be stepping down as CEO of Unknown Worlds to make way for new leadership. And some people are like, why would he do that? He just got brought back. Why would he step down?
Well,
I mean,
like I said today, why not?
exactly. If I had, let's say he got a small chunk of $250 million. Let's say he got $20 million. You would never see me again. I mean, or
Well,
at least
listen.
not there. You wouldn't see me gracing the door of where I work. You'd be seeing me all over everywhere else. But I'm gone. I'm gone.
Smart marketing would have had him, like a meme of him today, walking out of the building with 2 buckets of money with those big thug glasses on and, big old blunt with the Snoop Dogg song in the background. Because, I mean, that was an OG move, dude.
I would have
Leaving on
walked
top.
in. I would have walked in with a box full of mannequin hands, given the middle finger, and I would have set them on every desk in every room, and then I would have put all my stuff in that same box and walked out with it. I mean, that guy's. I mean, he has generational wealth now. Why would he stick around? Again, the only reason that they even agreed or offered $250 million to begin with, because these founders were going to go anyway. They're selling the company. Why would they stick around? That was what the $250 million was for. It was to have them stick around to complete Subnautica 2. They completed Subnautica 2. I mean, it's launched. Yeah, they've still got DLC. They'll finish the game. The hard part's done. The big part's done. This guy is independently wealthy. I wouldn't be there either. I would be gone.
I told you today I'd be laying on a beach in freaking Fiji or something, or Maldives, and just drinking umbrella drinks and enjoying the sunset and sunrise, man. I also got to say that when I first brought this story up, God knows how long it's been now. I had no idea we were going to get this much mileage on this story. It just sounded like a game company that got screwed, and the only reason
smaller company.
Yeah, and the only reason, and that's another thing, the only reason it really caught my eye is because I loved Subnautica, and because I mean it's just an underwater world, and there's so very few of those. And also, I like small companies that create games that make the big boys go, "What in the hell? We've got 3,000 people. They've got 30, and look at this! Look at this game. It's killing us." So that's always a favorite thing of mine. I remember when Astroneer came out, and it was like 11 or 12 guys on the second floor of a rented out building in wherever they are, and it blew my mind. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's able to walk away with, like you said, generational wealth. I imagine the other 4 will follow suit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And once they get a replacement in place, peace.
Well, and I feel like it should be noted that this is not all the money that will be coming to these guys.
No.
There's still the lawsuit. The lawsuit was, hey, reinstate our jobs, reinstate our bonus structure. That was agreed to. But there's also damages, punitive stuff. I mean, they're going to get more money out of Krafton.
I imagine there's residuals from sales too. I would hope.
Yeah. So I mean, these guys just made a shit ton of money. They're going to make a shit ton more. I mean, this is insane. And like I said, some people seem to be bent out of shape about it. I'm more power to them. That's exactly what I would have done. I would have played my hand the exact same way, and I'm glad you won. Good on you. Well, and I hope you have a fantastic life on your private island.
Well, I imagine a lot of people that have a problem with it are nowhere near retirement. I mean, you get people that are over 40 and they start thinking about retirement, and we hear good stories like this. It's like, yeah, I would have done the same. Yeah, I'm
I mean,
done. I'm done
it,
being in the fucking rat race.
yeah, I mean, if I won the lottery,
Yeah,
I'd still be doing this every week. But there'd be
yeah,
there'd be a window with palm trees behind me every
yeah.
week whenever we did
Maybe a
this.
window.
Yeah.
I always see that like that scene from Skyfall where Daniel Craig gets shot and falls in the waterfall, and the next time we see him, he's just living in this beach house that has no doors, no windows. He's
And
got
no
an
problems.
outdoor shower, some hottie walking up the beach, and I'm like, yeah, that's how you just say, you know what, peace, I'm out.
Yep.
So
Take the door. So yeah, I can't fault the guy, and I hope he has a phenomenal early retirement. Like I've
yeah,
tried to find because Jay and I talked about this earlier, and Jay's like, "How old is he?" I was like, "I don't know actually." So I tried to find out how old he was before we did the show. Could not find it, but I did find pictures. This guy cannot be older than mid 40s at the oldest.
yeah,
So yeah, more power to him. Good job, and like you said,
real
the
men of
others are
genius.
probably soon to follow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good job, Ted Gil.
I am very envious of his position.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, so that's really the big things I had in gaming. I think you've got some other gaming stuff that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about because I'm starting to see, and this is like a PC thing, obviously trend wise, but with the prices of RAM and storage and people not able to upgrade, people that made the mistake and didn't upgrade when they should have, and are now stuck with lower end machines. You see people dragging games out of the woodwork and having fun, and not only having fun, but having fun with other people. Um, Although this brings up another really bad company situation. So there was a game that was released in 2016. At first, it was PC only, and it was called Marvel Heroes. And this is an action RPG in the vein of like the Diablo style, the isometric over the top, looking down type of thing. Um, Widely considered one of the best Marvel games, if not the best Marvel game ever created. And you'll see why here shortly.
Even above the Ultimate Alliance games, huh?
Yeah, and you'll see why here shortly. But so it came out, and then they decided to bring it out on console. And the company I'm talking about is Gazillion. And when they rebranded it for console, it became Marvel Heroes Omega, and the roster got flushed out. There are 63 heroes and villains from. I guarantee you, there's not somebody on the roster you wouldn't want to play. And the costumes that they came out with go all the way through to like Black Panther in the MCU. So there's a lot of movie costumes for all the characters that have movies, and then there's a lot of retro comic book costumes. For instance, they have the X-Men all have their X-Men 97 animated series costumes available. Now, when this game was launched, it was basically free to play, but had a store. And you had to use these things called G points or gazillion points. And you had to buy these things. And it was expensive. It was not cheap. Some of these bundles were $30 to $40 for like if you wanted the entire X-Men squad. Because you had to unlock heroes and then unlock the costumes. And I always assumed, Mason, that this was shut down, that Disney put the kibosh on this. I was wrong. I was mistaken. Gazillion went tits up and had to close their doors. Now,
So I guess it just wasn't a big hit at the time.
No, they blew their money and they ruined it.
Poor management.
It was a free to play model that didn't do very well because it required too much money. It was like early Diablo 4 where you're charging $40 for a costume or whatever. So they ran themselves out. Although I got to tell you, Disney would have put the kibosh on this pretty quick if they hadn't already. Gazillion had.
I mean, they killed Disney Infinity, so yeah, of course.
Yeah,
it would not put past them to kill this.
But anyway, fast forward to now, as of 2 years ago, some fans got together and resurrected the code on this game. And at first, all you could do was walk around. There were very few enemies. It was tough, and it was but they kept working. The server is called MHO Tahiti.
So
Marvel Heroes
did
Omega
they
Tahiti.
have to rebuild the code from scratch to make it do what they
Some-
remembered?
Some of it they had to, like, I don't, and I'm not a coder, but basically from what I understand, they basically had to not rebuild the entire code. They had to resurrect. There were pieces of it that were broken that they couldn't figure out, that they just either had to create a workaround or block that part off or whatever. For instance, you couldn't access the store, and they didn't want people to not have access to that. So basically what they did was take the in-game currency and allow you to convert it to the old store currency so that you can buy all the DLC and stuff, or all the costumes and heroes. And then they started adding back some of the missions that were in the game, and we basically had the full main story. And then they resurrected some of the events, and then they created some of their own events that come up weekly. Like the Midtown Manhattan Patrol, where you can go out and you get double XP, and so it, we never got to that 1.0 release, much like Star Wars Genesis, where they're still building towards a 1.0 release. Well, 2 months ago, we've got our 1.0 release for Marvel Heroes Omega. And I'm going to put up some gameplay while I still talk about it. But this is, and if you played the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, you kind of, you can kind of see, yeah. And obviously I'm solo right here. So this is an early mission. I'm playing as Iron Man. They got all the powers. You can see down there at the bottom, you have your power grid as far as what you can do and fight and whatnot. And then over in the bottom left-hand corner is where, like, that there's a little G icon where you can click on that and go to the store. If you have enough G's built up to buy, new heroes or whatnot, you can still, like the original game, you can try any hero for free up to level 10. And then the max level caps at 60. Now, here's the thing. There'll never be any new content for this, but they keep bringing up these events and different things that they've got going on. And it is, man, I got to tell you, it is a crazy. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward.
So you'd mentioned the in-game currency and all of this stuff. Now, are they actually taking real money, or
no? It's totally
okay.
Everything's free. Even if you don't own the game, you can download it from it. There's an internet archive site that takes up like abandonware where you can find the game. And you're not going to see it on this screen, but I'm telling you right now, it does not take a Jesus PC to run this thing. I'm running at an FPS of like 265, and it's still only using like 30% of my GPU. So that ought to tell you, you could run this on a probably a standard work laptop. But it still has multiplayer, and that's the part. This is the part that's going to blow your mind, is after I get done with this mission here. So later on, I get up here and I have to fight Taskmaster. So here I am fighting Taskmaster, who's one of the bosses. And all the bosses and elite bosses drop what's called Eternity Splinters, and you can trade the Eternity Splinters for the store currency to buy costumes and heroes. And then there are social hubs where you can link up and become part of a squad or a team and go out together and fight. There are social hub combat areas, which are some of the coolest in the game. Some of the hubs include the Avengers Tower, which you're going to see in just a few minutes, and the X-Men Mansion, and it looks just like the X-Men Mansion from the movies. They've got the SHIELD helicarrier, and it looks like the one from the MCU. There's just a bunch of different cool places to go. They cover so many comics main storylines, like the Sentinel storyline is in here, the Skrull invasion, the Secret Wars, all the Avengers stuff. Ultron is in here.
And those are all in the original as well, or is that stuff that they've added?
Yes. Okay, so here I am back. No, it was all in the original. These are all real people in here, by the way. This is me back at the social hub. These are people meeting, getting together, and getting ready to go out on missions.
I see a Juggernaut and a Carnage.
Yeah, there's so many characters. I wish I'd have had time to cut in some of the roster, and I'll do that later if you want to see it. But I mean, folks, no matter what Marvel group you're into, if you're into the independent guys like Blade, Ghost Rider, they've got the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Defenders, Marvel Knights, the West Coast Avengers, X-Force, X-Factor. Everybody is in here. Here I am talking to a Hydra agent because I've already done the Shield storyline, and I wanted to go through the Hydra missions where you can unlock extra costumes. You also have, and I'm not
Green
using
Goblin.
it here, but you also have team ups, so you can unlock team up heroes that can go out with you if you're not in a multiplayer situation, and you still would like to have a buddy, a sidekick.
What is following
My
you?
Oh, that is a Doom Herbie bot.
Okay.
That was my first pet that I unlocked. So it's the Herbie bot from Fantastic Four wearing a Doom hoodie. And then Doctor Doom is my team up, even though I don't get him out right here. But I walked over here so you can see just people spawning in. There's the white Magneto costume, and see Doctor Strange right there to my right, and Rogue, Ultron right there. Agent Maria Hill, I just walked past her. She-Hulk. The guy with the question mark over his head is voiced by Stan Lee. So it's probably the last place where you can hear Stan Lee's voice. But yeah, man, dude, everybody is in this thing. You see Agent Coulson there carrying his big gun.
I think I saw Agent Venom there for a second.
You did. That's one of the costumes for Venom that you can unlock.
Nice.
They also got the Spider Carnage skin for Carnage, where it still looks like the Spider-Man, but still got the Carnage stuff. But anyway, man, and it got me thinking about, some of these, because one of the things you're passionate about, and I know you are, is when companies kill games, especially if there's not a real reason behind it. And here was a game that got killed, and it was the company's fault, but it has been resurrected so people could still play what was, and it was just gone too soon, man. It is I don't know what to say. It is like, I wouldn't be playing. I don't play shit games. I really feel like I pick good games to play, and this was an absolutely outstanding title. And I felt absolutely ripped off because I had spent a lot of money on the PlayStation version of this game because I loved it so much.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. Speaking of preserving games and that kind of thing. Again, call me a hypocrite because I buy digital, and we're talking about like, the death of physical. But whenever we have a situation where, especially like a live service game, because even if you had a physical copy, the server shut down, doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do anything. So without something like projects like this to keep those things going, not only does it suck to be a player, it sucks to be a person that worked on that game. You try to go to somewhere else, and you try to go to a different developer, and you're like, oh, hey, I was an environmental artist for such and such game. Oh, show us your work. Well, I'd like to, but they shut the servers down, so I can't show you what I did. You can't go and look at it. It's like the people that worked on this, their work just disappears too, and that's work that they can't reference in the future. I mean, they can say that they did it, but what does that mean to anybody there if they don't have a way to like actually look at it, get hands on with it? It's like it's just not good for anybody.
Yeah, and
so even if we can have like with private servers, just let people do private servers on this stuff. You don't want to spin your own servers up anymore? Fine, let people run private servers.
That's another thing. You can actually create your own private server on here. If I wanted to just have one with me and my friends, I could do that. But you actually alluded to something I think is really poignant, and that, like, if I get in a conversation about Marvel games with Marvel fans, they're always gonna say Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, and those games are stellar. They were stellar. They still hold up. They're very, very good. And you bring up this game, and most people didn't have time to try this game out. It was out on PlayStation for less than 3 or 4 months before it got shit canned, and the play model was terrible. With this MHO Tahiti, it's wonderful, and now other people are creating their own versions and redoing the coding on it. Like, if there's one called Council of Agents or Ancients, it's a server you can join, and it doubles the strength of your powers and lowers the cooldowns by half. So it's just a Marvel hero. Yeah, it's a power fantasy. So, you get off work, you've had a bad day, you just want a power fantasy of running around New York, blasting people away or smashing them to death as the Hulk. You can do that. So, I always think again, you look back at other games that have been canceled and brought back, and a lot of them don't. They don't ever get brought. We'll never see Anthem again, I don't think.
No, it's
And
gone. I don't even and honestly, a project like this, I don't know if there's enough of Anthem that was done to
yeah,
even warrant the passion behind such a project like this. Like, there's not really anything to save.
yeah, these guys they've got such deep access now that they could create their own levels if they wanted to. Right now, they've been just working on game balance for, the better part of 2 years. So, and it just goes to show you how long it takes to do those kind of things, even if you already have the framework in place.
Well, and just the sheer level of dedication,
Yeah,
because it's illegal for them to charge money for this, because
correct,
it's not their IP. So it has to be done for
correct.
free. So these people are doing all this stuff, like, the guy behind Genesis and all that stuff. All these people putting
Yeah,
all this work for free. And, Jay and I do this for free. And, we work real jobs and we got to do, and they're like, I've been trying to get out of some burnout with editing and things like that, like it weighs on you. I can't fathom doing something like this, taking on a project of this scale where you are digging through code to bring it back and doing all of this just
yeah.
for the love of the game.
Yeah, and you'll have people like, I'll get on the Discord server for this, and they're bitching about. They're like, "Man, I downloaded the file to play this, and I want to play it so bad, but then I had to download this extra DLL file that I had to paste onto this. And can you make it easier, bro? These guys are working for free, man. Do the work. If you want to play it bad enough, make that shit work.
Yeah, because these guys resurrected a game from the dead. Like,
Yeah, from nothing.
what
Yeah,
more do you want, man?
so, and now the installer is a lot easier. It definitely is easier. You have to create a fake email address that has their server name in it, so that it back ends the old school um, authentication process. And so, but still, it didn't take 5 minutes. People just don't like to read and look at instructions. So, but still, man, it was something that came up last week when they hit that 1.0 release. I'd been waiting on it, and I already had it installed, but that was another thing with the 1.0 release. It completely wiped out all the progress for people for the past year and a half.
It's one of those things where it's like it sucks, but it's like, how you can't be too upset because it's free.
No, I didn't, bitch. I love, like, when I went into the game when the 1.0 released, the chat log that it puts over on the left, I was like, oh my god, people, where's all my characters? Blah blah blah. This fucking sucks. And I ended up just having to hit the closed chat log. I'm like, I'm not. Sort of like when you're watching something on YouTube live, you can't even read the chat. It's going so fast. But still, so my hat's off to these guys for bringing this back. Much like Genesis, just happy with both of these projects and the level of effort that people put into things to bring things back. And I think that's wonderful. Plus, I love a good news gaming story, because we don't have as many anymore.
Especially these last few weeks, because they have been few and far between.
And I feel like we have another good one tonight too, which is, by this time next week, we will have already played Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced.
Yes. And again, this is one that to start, whenever it was the worst kept secret in video games. I mean, everybody knew it. We knew it for years, before it happened. The leaks, the slip ups, the wrong answers in interviews, it was all there. And during all that time, I was terrified of this game. Terrified. All the leaks that we heard were negative.
Yes, you were.
And every leak, the only good thing that we heard about the leaks was like, they realized that some of the things that they were doing, the RPGification that they had been doing in previous games that they had started to put into this game, that they were trying to pull that out. I just didn't have much faith in how well they would be able to do that. Everything that we have seen from whenever they first officially announced it has been positive. I do still have some questions, and I know that you still have some concerns and questions around some of the additions and things like that, like the captains, or not captains, or whatever, the first mates or whatever thing.
Yes.
But so far I am cautiously. I went from being terrified of this game to being cautiously optimistic. Everything I've seen has looked great. Every interview that I've heard from the people behind it, which a lot of those people were worked on the original, the OG Black
Yeah.
Flag, and it sounds like their heads are in the right place. It sounds like they are focusing on the right things whenever it comes to, like, we want to preserve this. I I am cautiously optimistic, and I know that Matt Ryan, the voice of Edward Kenway, is beyond enthusiastic about it. Everybody that's like, sometimes there'll be something like this, and you can kind of feel it in the interviews, like the way that these people are cagey about their answers, or the voice actors, and they're like, yeah, they just kind of give. I don't know. Everybody just seems legitimately thrilled with what they've created. And if this game is not at least uh, decent, if it's not at least good enough, it might not be incredible. It also might be incredible. But I think if it's not just a good time, I will be surprised.
Yeah, and I mean, I've actually crossed over from cautiously optimistic to just optimistic now. I've watched so much stuff on this over the past couple weeks, and it's just like I said about, I don't know what game we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Every great game has shitty parts to it. Skyrim launched as an absolutely buggy mess. Fallout
so
4
many
was
Bethesda games.
and I'm just going straight Bethesda here. Fallout 4, buggy ass mess. And I still loved every freaking minute of it, even before the bugs were fixed. And so I am worried about that first mate thing. At least I was, a week ago or whatever. But I started thinking, they had those in Origins, or you could recruit these mates for your ship, even though that they very minimal ship stuff. And I started thinking, if they did it like that one won't be bad, because those people did save my bacon a couple times in some of those fights, because you didn't have as many weapons at your disposal in the boats and Origins. All you had was ballistas and archers, and your ram. So it's still, like I said, I'm over that hump, and more in the firmly in the just optimistic club. So,
Well, good. I'm glad that we are both moving in that direction. Yeah, if it's not good, I will honestly be surprised. I've been really impressed with everything that we have seen since it was officially announced, for sure. So yeah, looking forward to it.
yeah,
So I see that you have placed something here in the queue, Jay. What is that about?
I do. So, as I
I
told you
see what
last
it
week,
is.
as I told you last week, Marvel launched. Speaking back to Marvel, they launched their Magic the Gathering set, and I'm trying to find, if you'll just bear with me a minute. Now, you have your purists, and we talked about this before, but you have your purists that were not not happy with all these crossover sets and how crazy they were. Let me see if I can pull this.
I just heard that the Lord of the Rings set went from being relatively undesirable, like it just wasn't selling a ton, and
right
over like the last couple of months has turned a corner and is now like which unfortunately means it's getting gouged like everything else, where they just jack the prices way up. But
the booster boxes
very desirable.
Yeah, the booster box, just the regular booster boxes, went from $249, which is already insanely expensive, by the way, up to about $400. But a lot of the purists that already don't like the crossover sets, and then the Marvel set comes out, and there's a guy, and he's widely considered one of the best gurus in Magic. He runs a YouTube channel called Tolarian Academy, and the dude is a Magic genius, but he's also not familiar with Marvel. The first Marvel movie he ever saw was Thor Ragnarok, which tells you a lot.
Not a great place to start.
Right. So, and he already doesn't like all these crossover sets. So I'm going to give you an example. He doesn't like the alternate artwork that Magic did for this Marvel set, and I think he's missing again, respect the shit out of this guy, but disagree with him hard on this artwork because he's like, they don't look like Magic cards. Well, guess what, buddy? They're from a comic book. They need to have that flavor in it. So this,
I think you'd have
is the
more people
stand-
upset if they tried to do X-Men in the style of
right.
Magic cards.
So this is the standard Wolverine Fierce Fighter card that you can get. This is very much a Magic card. Everything that about it screams Magic card. It's got your mana cost in the top right. It's got your subheading there of a legendary creature, mutant berserker hero. It's got the flavor text and ability text there.
And
That's
the
standard
scroll
one
there
you
actually
get.
kind of blends in with the
Yeah.
Magic aesthetic.
And there's nothing that wouldn't tell you that this isn't a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, I don't even play
Then
Magic, and I can tell that is clearly a Magic card.
Right. Now, here is the first alternate artwork that tried to stay similar to it for the same card. Wolverine Best There Is. This is what's called a full art card because the art extends down into the ability block. And there's people, going crazy about this one before I even get to the next one. I don't know how you obviously have a strong opinion about this one.
Okay. So I don't mind some of the things that you pointed out, like the fact that the art bleeds into the text area, and I think that's actually a cool thing that the art becomes a backdrop for the text and all that stuff. I'm fine with all of that, and I think that the structure is still very recognizably a Magic card. I just fucking hate that image. It looks awful. It looks like a 1990s CGI something like Lawnmower Man or something like that.
Okay.
Where
now that you said that, I can't unsee that because
it's
you're
just
absolutely
ugly.
I like the pose.
The pose is great,
but his skin looks like rubber.
Yeah, it's not good.
The suit looks like rubber.
So yeah, I like the pose. I just don't like that particular art.
Well, lucky for me, of course, according to Tolarian, unlucky for me, but I got the only Wolverine card I drew out of my packs was the most valuable one, and it's the crazy alternate art that went straight Marvel, which was this one.
See, that I dig.
So
I like that very much. That is straight up 1990s
Wolverine.
I mean, that is like the Wolverine from the cartoons. Everything's shiny. I like
the Wolverine font behind him.
Yes,
from his actual comic books. And they did this for like Daredevil has a great one too. That looks great, but Tolarian was tearing into these cards going, I just don't like these. They don't look like Magic cards. And this one actually kind of does.
Well, let me ask you a question here. Because, in the lower right-hand corner, that value where it says 3 out of 5, what is that?
So 3 is how much he's hitting you for. He can hit you for 3 points of damage. 5 is how many points he can take. So that's his HP.
So these are not the same Wolverine. Some of these have different values.
Yeah, they did. Well, a lot of this was promo artwork, but I can assure you this is what the main one looks like.
And then go back to the Lawnmower Man one.
Yeah. The other one was a prototype. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was out of pre-release or whatever. But yeah, this is the one I actually ended up getting.
So you have this actual physical card.
I do. I don't know if you can see it, but
nice.
So
protected, I see. Very well done.
Yes. But like some of the art, like some of the cards, like I actually don't like the Magic version of some of the cards and love the alternate arts because I loved those comic books when I was younger. They used actual like comic covers for some of them, and that's why I love them. And
I mean,
somebody like Tolarian wouldn't
1990s
know.
Uncanny X-Men, and I love that.
Yeah. So, and the Daredevil, which I did not get the alt art Daredevil, which hopefully it lets me pull this one up. You're gonna. We both like Daredevil.
Yes, we do.
So let me pull this one up, and you're gonna love this alt art. Yeah, you just can't. I mean, we need to see this on the big, blow that up. Yeah, look at that
dude.
shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
like that.
insane. And the one I got is literally the shittiest one, I think. But oh yeah, here's mine. And it's okay, it's not bad, but it's not great. Well, I actually can't pull it
Do
up.
they have
So.
Gambit? Does Gambit have a card? Gambit and Nightcrawler?
Gambit is not. So this set, so each set that they've done 2 Marvel sets, a Spider-Man set, and they had the Soul Stone in it, and then this set has the Power Stone in it, or the Mind Stone. Sorry. The next set is going to be X-Men heavy next year, and it's gonna. I don't know what stone they're going to use, but that I figure that set will be the one that has Gambit. Although this one does have Wolverine, but it seems to be more. The set seems to be more Avengers and Defenders.
Well, I mean, it's
You
one of
know.
those things where it's like Wolverine is Marvel. Like it's there. The 2 faces of Marvel are Spider-Man and Wolverine. So the first one was Spider-Man, and then you do another one that's something outside of just Spider-Man. You got to have Wolverine, even if it's not specifically X-Men. You got to have Wolverine.
Yeah, and then this was the Daredevil I got, which is the standard Magic card, and it's not a bad piece of art.
No, it's still cool, but it's like I dig the at which I assumed, given that we saw that and then the Wolverine one, I guess that's like it looks like they've probably done multiple that way where they have like the monochrome theme where it's like their particular, like Wolverine's yellow, Daredevil's red, and then you have their actual background, based on their real logos. Looks like that's a thing that they did with a lot of them. And I dig that look. I don't even play Magic, and I would love to have those like framed as posters, like blown up on the wall.
Yeah, and it's a really good set. And there's the set has, I mean, there were people that I wasn't expecting. The villains in it are fantastic. They brought in, they've got, and I'm just going to use the actual names from the cards, but they got Thanos the Mad Titan, they got MODOK, they got Helmet or Baron Zemo and Baron they got Strucker, which was an odd call. They got Arnim Zola, and so there's a lot of cool villains. There's some obscure Marvel call outs on it. They got the Sentry, Wonder Man, the comic version of Wonder Man, not the Disney version of Wonder Man. Squirrel Girl is in there. She's already one of the most OP commanders on the, and I'm not a Squirrel Girl nut. I don't get it, but
no pun intended.
Yeah.
Squirrel Girl nut.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm not a Squirrel Girl nut. So, but yeah, it's a really cool set, man. And of course like I said, they have the Mind Stone in this one. Alex was asking, do they have Doctor Strange? And I go, no, but I'm starting to think they're trying to tie which Infinity Stone is associated with some of the heroes. So I don't think we'll get Doctor Strange until we get the Time Stone. So I imagine that.
So I guess they're doing enough of these to at least get all the at least get all of the Infinity.
Yes.
Stones.
Yeah, and I'm sure in that last set we're going to get some kind of crazy Thanos card. We're probably going to get a piece of artifact equipment called the Infinity Gauntlet, and then you can attach all the stones that they'd be missing out if they. Yeah, they'd be missing out if they didn't do that. But it's got a lot of the entire Fantastic Four is in this set, which is cool. But they're all different colors. So if you want to run a Fantastic Four deck, you would have to have at least a 4-color deck to run it. So I couldn't figure out some of the colors on why they chose them. Like, I mean, I get Wolverine being red and green. I mean, that makes sense. He's in nature, but he's also angry and he, likes to, do this and that. But Incredible Hulk is also red and green. And to me, that one, it should be just red.
But then I'm sure they're probably like, but he's green.
and Daredevil is red and white. And I get that because his anger is one of his driving things when he fights, but he's also a White Knight. So Luke Cage is pure, his is just straight white. And then Jessica Jones is black, which is more of a death and that type of deal. But yeah, it's got a lot of cool minor cards too. It's got Coulson in it and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Iron Fist?
It's got Iron Fist.
So we have the Defenders.
Yeah, it's even got all the ancillary characters from Defenders. So it's got Colleen Wing and the Night Nurse and Misty Knight.
How about Elektra?
And Elektra's in it. So Bullseye's in it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it is a really cool set, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to do at the table. Jason's coming over Saturday. You're more than welcome to join us, and we're gonna throw some quick draft decks together and just start slinging it and figure out what happens. But looking forward to that.
Nice. Yeah, I may be going to Oklahoma for family for the 4th.
Oh,
But
that's right. It's the 4th of July.
it is the
That's right.
4th of July. Yeah. But if not, I may take you up on that. Okay, so we've got that. Any media things catch your interest in the last 7 days?
Yes. So I have watched the second episode of House of the Dragon season 3, and it was
I did
almost
see that this one scored significantly less with most people. I didn't read what happened. I didn't get any spoilers, but I just saw that it seemed to be received much less universally praised than the first episode was.
So it comes down, and just like Game of Thrones, it really comes down to who you've aligned yourself with character wise. Like, I absolutely enjoyed this episode, and it was one of those where they were like, to me, it felt like they were looking at the first episode going, hold my beer. Not as much action in the second episode, but the intrigue was through the roof. So a lot of cool things happened. We again, death is going to be a main theme amongst all the main characters this season. So I'm not going to get into that, but it was awesome. That's all I'm going to say. I really feel, because I've read the book, I really feel like this next episode is going to hit people right in the groin. It is going to be a dick punch for a lot of people, I'm sure. And if you haven't read the book, I'm obviously talking about the God's Eye incident. So if you're not a book person, not you specifically, but anybody that watches this, if you're not a book person, just wiki or Google the God's Eye incident.
Don't do spoilers.
Yeah. And you'll know what I'm talking about. But that show, man, I'm telling you, unfortunately, that's a small chapter of that book, this whole show. And I think they only got one more season left before that's it. So it's just sad because it's a really well done show.
Well, I mean,
they're doing a good
not
job
of the
of
Seven
it.
Kingdoms though. Like we've got that, so
Yeah.
and that was
And then
great.
apparently we've got the Aegon the Conqueror story coming, so that ought to be interesting. And I've got my own thoughts on that. I really hope that thing starts out in Old Valyria so that we can see all the old dragon lords living in their city before the doom. But
I'm just glad to see
it'll play out
that Game of Thrones is able to kind of dig itself out of where it was, because after the final season of the primary show, it's been a long time since I've seen a show that started off so well and ended so poorly. Not since Lost had I seen something that rose to such heights and then absolutely failed to deliver on essentially any of its promises. So to see that they have kind of they're gaining the trust of the fan back is good to see.
I felt like Lost to this day had one of the best pilots I had ever seen.
Absolutely.
One of the best pilots I've ever seen. And I really felt like they literally just went down from there.
Well, to this day, like there'll be a show like it's like, oh, this is coming out, and I'll see trailers. I'm like, oh, this looks really good. And if I look into it and I hear that Damien Lindelof is involved in it, I don't watch the show because Damien Lindelof was the writer of Lost, and he has failed to deliver on any project I've ever seen him do. He's great at thinking things up, but he thinks of like, hey, wouldn't it be crazy if we did this? And he doesn't think of how to tie that back together. He just thinks about wouldn't it be crazy if, and then the explanation, the resolution, the reason, none of that matters to him. And everything I've ever seen him touch since I don't remember there was one show that I watched. I'm like, oh, this started out really, and it was so disappointing that I found out that he had been the writer. I'm like, well, of course it fucking disappointed me. It's Damien Lindelof. So if I find out, if there's a show that I'm interested in, I find out that Damien Lindelof is involved in it, I don't watch the show because of Lost.
That's sort of, it's sort of like, and we've both watched the majority of the Arrowverse. and Greg Berlanti, like I feel like his big crux that he gets stuck in these ruts and he doesn't want to get out of them. Like Arrow was the first one I watched. It was the first one that was on. And I loved all the characters in that. I eventually hated most of the characters in that show, but the whole flashback things just got old after. I'm like, okay, one season of flashbacks was all we really needed, and we didn't need that
fucking
many.
long were you on that island?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you were barely on that island. I mean, comparatively speaking, you spent more time in Hong Kong probably than on that island or wherever he was. And he just could not. It's like, I got to throw a flashback. Okay, let's throw a flashback in right here. Hey, guys, can I get a flashback in right here? Every time he's going to do something in the present that references something he learned from his experience on the island and in Hong Kong, let's do a flashback right here. And I'm just like, dude, we don't need that. We're smarter than you think. We can just assume that that's where he picked up that skill. And then with Flash, it was, Flash is a speedster, and nothing beat, dude, the first season of Flash might be the best
with
season of all the era.
Tom Cavanaugh,
dude,
was incredible.
I mean, I still get the chills just thinking about him the first time he said, you're part of the Speed Force now. And then he did his run, Barry, run. Dude, there's
or I think it was the end of the first episode, maybe the second episode, where we see him as what was Dr. Wells, and we see him like pull into his little mansion in his wheelchair and shut the door behind him
and stand up,
just stands up and walks forward, and we're like, oh my God, like dude, season 1 of Flash was peak. It was
cinema,
good,
absolute cinema, and then then it was like, okay, who can we give powers to this season? All right, we've got Cisco's got powers. Okay, let's explore Caitlin Frost's Killer Frost thing or whatever. Okay, we've got that now. Let's make Cecile be whatever, telepathic or whatever, and then let's make sure Iris gets something now that Nora's in the thing. And then and I'm just like, dude,
same
Joe?
thing.
Joe's getting fucked here, dude.
Yeah, the same thing the same thing killed all the 3 shows in the like Arrow, the Flash, and what was the one with the team up with
Legends?
all the Legends of Tomorrow. Same thing killed all 3 shows with the or with Arrow. It was Team Arrow. There's too many.
Yeah,
that we just need the Green Arrow. We don't need everybody to be fighting crime. He had Felicity. That's good enough. We got Felicity, like Black Canary, and then having White Canary. That was already too much. And then they just kept adding and adding and adding.
Speedy, Arsenal. Yeah.
And it's just too much. And then it's like, okay, now the show's called Arrow, and he's like he's barely in it. So I hated that. And then the Flash, like you said, everybody got powers. So, and then everybody was a speedster. Everybody was like, you're aware there's other powers, right? Like, I mean, we've got other things. We don't all have to be fast. And
that's why I did love the season where the big bad was in a wheelchair with just the Thinker. I thought that was a good. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is a good season.
And it's like, oh God, we had Yellow Flash. And it's like, I get that Yellow Flash was like the big deal, but how many fucking seasons did Yellow Flash have to be the big bad? It's like, give us a break, guys. And then Legends of Tomorrow, it was just too many. Just too many people on the team. You didn't have enough time to focus on the ones, and then people would drop off, and contracts would run out, and they'd leave the show, and then you introduce new people and more people, and this one, it was just too much. They just overextended themselves every single time.
One thing I don't think Legends did very well was showcase their actual good talent that they had. Wentworth Miller as Captain Cold, the character arc he went through was amazing, and they should have showcased it. And I think, honestly, if I could sit down and talk to him, I bet that was one of the reasons he left the show, because he had a great arc, and they just kept pushing him in the corner.
Well, I mean,
you can't put baby in the corner, man.
I love Wentworth Miller, man. Like, and you got him teaming up with Dominic, whatever his name is,
Purcell.
Dominic Purcell from Prison Break. You got the dudes from Prison Break together again. Like, capitalize on this, and they just didn't.
And I loved it when they would drop Prison Break, fourth walls. He's like, I've done a few Prison Breaks, man. We could. I'll take care of this plan. Even the episodes that he was in the Flash were some of the best ones, man. When Cold was there, and again, he wasn't a speedster. He was somebody that negated Flash's speed, which made it awesome. So yeah, it's just tough. I don't even know what we started out talking about.
I don't either, man. But
I know we were on House of the Dragon. We were talking about shows that don't.
I would say season
close
1 of
out
Flash
right.
was peak, and season 1 of Arrow was peak. Once he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to kill people anymore."
Yeah.
That was whenever it was kind of like, okay, whatever. But before that, whenever he would say like, "You have failed this city," and they got domed, like that was amazing. That was awesome. I would get chills like whenever he like broke into his whenever he first found like he thought his family was like, "Oh, these are great people and everything's fine. You know, we're generous and wealthy and this and that." And then he finds out that his mom is crooked and corrupt, and he does the thing where he's like, "I got to do it. I've made a commitment." And he busts through her window and pulls the arrow and says, "You have failed this city," while aiming it at his mom. I remember getting chills whenever that happened.
And I felt like, I'll be honest with you, I felt like his character arc, he should have taken the shot.
Oh yeah.
Based on his character arc. And I mean, I get the internal struggle, but I feel like he should have. And then I loved it when the arrow came to help the Flash out the first time in Central City, and Joe and Dr. Wells were like, "Dude, we're not happy that you're working with this guy." And Flash is like, he's a good guy, man. He's and Joe says, this is one of my favorite lines. It's so underrated. He goes, "Do you know how many arrows he's put into people in Starling City?" And I'm sitting there going, "It's a lot."
Yeah, because that first season, man, like he would get jumped in a warehouse, and that was like 50 dudes that are just like dead with arrows sticking out of them.
Yeah, no hesitation. It was whap.
Yeah. There was no conflicted opinion. Like it's just like go boom, 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 like just like down.
Just sitting there going, dead. I mean, I'm just like, damn, they're not even trying to lighten this up a little bit. So, but I also did like the fact that they played off, and they even said that the characters said this too, and they're like, we thought Central City was the happy city, and Starling was doom and gloom, and I loved how they actually did that on the show, where Starling was a doom and gloom. It's very Gotham like, and then you had Central City, which was everybody hangs out at Jitters and drinks flashes, and it's always sunny.
I was gonna say they had a lot of actual like suns. Like you never saw the sun. In the other one, like it was always dark. It was always at night. Yeah.
And I like Diggle. I think Diggle should have been the only addition for a support character to Arrow. And plus, he was funny. He had some really good lines during his run. Especially when Oliver at the very beginning of the first season got a new bodyguard, and they're at Big Belly Burger, and the new bodyguard's like, "Man, he's taking a long time in that bathroom," and Diggle's like, "Bro, that dude's already gone. He's already out of there." So yeah, it was a good call. But anyway, yes, shows let you down, dude. It's tough to find
that's how we got on that. Damien Lindelof and how shows can start off so well, and then they go and we got onto that by way of Game of Thrones. But it's true. There have been so many shows that have started off with such potential and just dropped the ball so drastically.
Yeah, you're not lying. So anyway,
any other media adjacent?
I do not. I was going to go see Supergirl this week, and then I was supposed to have, Jason was supposed to come over and hang out, and then he ended up he works at a golf course, and a piece of equipment went down, so he wasn't able to show. Plus, I didn't get to see the movie, so I'm going to see it next week. And I mean, I know it's got some polarizing reviews. I'm still excited to see it, though. I like Millie Alcock because I thought she was excellent in House of the Dragon. And I do like this new updated version of Kara. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and again, there's people I respect, like Critical Drinker and people like that I like. They hated Superman, and I really liked Superman. I really enjoyed it, And so this is one of those where even voices that I would otherwise usually align with and trust, like I would not be surprised if I once again diverge from their opinions on this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm really excited to see Jason Momoa as Lobo. That's going to be a big thing. I went ahead and bought yesterday. It was brought up that somebody mentioned that you could buy tickets to Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, I should probably do that. So I bought tickets to Thursday, July 30th, so that I don't have to worry about any spoilers. I'm gonna go there with my son, and we're gonna watch Spider-Man technically the day before opening day, and
Okay.
the preview Thursday, and try to get it. Oh wait, I might have to reevaluate. That's right, because we do the show on Thursdays. Yeah, I'll change that to Friday.
I just loved how nonchalant you said that too. You were like, "So yeah, I'm gonna watch it obviously on the preview Thursday." I'm sitting there going, "Like, what the fuck am I gonna do, bro?"
Yeah. See, I'm bad at this.
Yeah.
That's like anytime somebody's like, "Hey, we should do this," I'm like, "Yeah, we should," and I don't even
Yeah.
think in my I don't even go through like what you've got. I just always assume I'm free. I don't know why. Like I'm just, even though like I have no time to do anything. Anytime somebody's like, "Oh, we should do this," I'm always like, "Yeah, why not?" I just always assume I'm free.
Yeah, same.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Well, man, that's all I've got tonight, bro.
All right. Well, it was fun. It was obviously we were all over the place, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes
We
here at
were.
Hardcore Casual. But it was a fun conversation. It was, I think we were able to have a good time in spite of some heavy news. And thank you, everyone, for joining us again, episode 76. I always say it, that hopefully I'm getting close to editing again. I got so burned out and so busy trying to get those things cranked out, but hopefully I'll get back on the grind here soon. I'm starting to feel the itch again. I'm not quite there yet, but thank you everybody for being so patient. And yeah, I appreciate that. But anyways, Jay, do you have any closing thoughts before we shut the doors on episode 76?
I do not. I just want everybody to enjoy the rest of their week and the 4th of July. Congrats to the World Cup team that won the U.S. World Cup team won their match last night against Bosnia. So, if you're into watching that, keep watching that because we're still in it. I don't know if we can win it all, but we're still in it. It'd be really awesome to play on the 250th anniversary of this country, which is a big milestone. So
it's been a long time since Team USA has won a World Cup.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I got, man.
All right. Well, I think that's all I've got as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for episode 75 of the Hardcore Casual broadcast. And we will see you guys next week for episode 76. No, sorry. Today was episode 76. Next week is episode 77 of the Hardcore Casual broadcast. I was so proud of myself because I was like, last time I said 75 and then join us next week for 75, screwed it up, and I screwed it up again. So join us next week for episode 77, when at the close of that episode, I'll finally get it right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys, and have a good weekend. Enjoy the holidays. Keep all your fingers.
I must leave you adieu. Goodbye.